Hello, this video is for Pabbly Connect users and those who also use System.io. As you know, System.io doesn't have an API and they made an integration only with Zapier. I've been waiting for an integration with Pabbly Connect, but it's not happening and they have not started to develop their API. So Pabbly Connect has made a trigger for System.io, but as you can see, in the trigger events, you only have contact just subscribe to a form and person visit a selected page. But in fact, when you select something, it doesn't connect to your SystemeIO account. It just gives you a webhook URL and it tells you how to set up in SystemeIO the webhook call. So you see, so this is not really an integration because all this, you don't need to use this trigger. You can simply use a webhook by Pabbly trigger. It's the same. It will give you a webhook URL that you can use in SystemeIO. And for this video, what I want to show you is that first, there is not only contact just subscribe to a form or a contact visits a selected page. You can do actions in Pabbly Connect. I mean, you can call a webhook in many other ways, not only from those two events. In fact, you can call a webhook from any automation rule, be it as a rule or a workflow. You have the action in SystemeIO to call a webhook. So for instance, when you make a sale in SystemeIO, you can do things including calling a webhook. So the action, the event could be when you make a new sale. And in Zapier, you have this trigger when you have a new sale in SystemeIO. But here in this action, it's not written here. You understand? I mean, in SystemeIO, you have many opportunities to call a webhook URL. And calling a webhook URL can be a trigger for any Pabbly Connect workflow. Okay, so that's the first thing. It's for the triggers. And then in the actions, here it's different. In Pabbly Connect, when you type System.io, you have nothing. But in fact, you can do things in SystemeIO as an action. So for instance, let's imagine a scenario. Simple one. Huh? In SystemeIO, you have a contact, and suddenly, because he did something, you add a tag to this person, to this contact. And then you want, with Pabbly Connect, you want to create a file, so an ebook, for instance. You want to create an ebook personalized to this contact, and you want to send it to this contact. So to do the personalized ebook, you will do it in Pabbly, because you will get in the trigger, in the webhook URL trigger in Pabbly, you will get the email address of the contact and some fields like his first name or other fields that are in the contact profile that you have in SystemeIO. So the fields can be the name, the phone number, and many custom fields also that you create in SystemeIO. If they are filled in a form, then you receive them as information in the webhook in Pabbly Connect. So in your trigger, you receive them, and with this information, you can create an ebook. So you can go and watch the YouTube channel of Pabbly Connect on how to create a personalized ebook or other things. I mean, a PDF, a personalized one, a custom one, and then you get the file URL of this PDF file, for instance, hosted on Google Drive. So you get this URL and you want to send this URL back to the contact with SystemeIO. I mean, you could send an email with the Gmail action in Pabbly Connect, but what I mean is that you can take back into SystemeIO some information, additional information, such as the file URL. So to explain to you how you can do that, I mean, the actions that we don't have in Pabbly Connect, because, you know, in Zapier, we have triggers and actions that we can do with SystemeIO, because SystemeIO did an integration with Zapier. So you have both things. In Pabbly Connect, we just have the trigger, but it's not really a trigger. It's misleading because, you know, you can do much more than just two events. and we'd have no action at all, but you can do actions. So I will show you in SystemeIO. What you do is in a funnel, you add a step with the type inline form. Okay, inline form, not a squeeze page, not pop-up form, inline form. So when you do this, it creates just a form. So you select anything, any design in the template, because we will not use this really. We will not display it. So select any one. Okay, you can go inside this form. You can add inputs. So for instance, you could add let's say, I don't know, form inputs, you add one here. So okay, this one you select, you choose the type. So here you have a first name, all the fields, the custom fields. Here I have 4 custom fields. There we can 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the name of the custom fields that I've created for contacts in my SystemeIO account. But you have also default ones so that you can use in this form. So for instance, you will put the phone number. Okay, email and phone number. You save. I mean, even the action of the button doesn't matter, since what happens after submitting, you don't care, because from Pabbly Connect, you will just submit this form and you don't expect anything back. Okay, or any information or any other redirect URL, nothing. You just submit the form. So you exit. From in this form also, you can add automation rules in SystemeIO. So for instance, for this form, if it has been submitted, then what is automation rule? Add a rule when this form has been submitted. So a new contact subscribe to this form. This is a trigger. You add the action. You know, even from here, you could send a webhook. So call again another workflow from Pabbly. Or you could simply add a tag. So you would add any tag. And in SystemeIO, you could have a workflow which starts with a trigger. This tag has been added to a contact. So, you know, the automation can happen inside SystemeIO after Pabbly has filled in this form for this contact. Understand? Pabbly submits the form. This form applies the automation rules which add a contact to the, which add a tag to this contact. And then because the tag has been added to this contact, which this contact exists, of course, then the workflow in SystemeIO will trigger for this contact because of the tag, you know? So you can play with both things. So in effect, when this form acts as an action in Zapier, you have a trigger and action. So this is the action that you can do in SystemeIO, because even from the automation rules, I will show you in the automation rules, but things that you can simply add a tag and have a workflow automation, which is more powerful than just a rule, because in the workflow you can have conditions, you can have delays, okay? But even from the rules, you can add other action. For instance, you can send an email to this contact. So, you know, when this happens, create an email for this contact when this form has been submitted. You can subscribe it to a campaign of emails, or you can give him a course that you have hosted on your SystemeIO account. So all those are kind of actions in the Zapier integration. And you can replicate this behavior with Pabbly Connect by using an inline form. So I won't enter into more details because you can ask me if you want. So I save this rule. What I want to show you is that when you are in inline form, you have the button script. This is not the one to use. This one gives you a JavaScript link. This is this button here. It's embed form. And when you open it, you see that it's an HTML form without any design. It just gives you the action URL. So this is the endpoint that you need to send the information to. This URL is unique to this inline form that you have created. And then you have the different fields. So here we have 2 because we have added the phone number. And what is important is the name. Name equals email. This needs to be the same when you send information. The name should be email, written exactly like this. And here for phone number is a phone underscore number to fill in the phone number field in this contact. Okay, so you just need to take information from here, and then in Pabbly Connect, when you do the action, so here, for instance, for the trigger, I will not choose a SystemeIO. I don't care. I can take a webhook, and it's the same, because this webhook, if it's called by SystemeIO, it will receive the email of the contact. So here as a response, I will have the email. And then in the action, I will choose the API from Pabbly also. And I will use the email that I got from the trigger. I will use it to fill in the form, the inline form. So here, what I should choose is action event is a post. Okay. Why is the post? Because you can see it here in a SystemeIO. You can see that here the form method is post. Action is this URL. So I take this URL and I will put it in Pabbly Connect as the endpoint URL. And then payload type, is it JSON? No, it's the form data. Form data, and you add set parameters. So the first, the label and the value, you replicate here. Here, the name is email. So you need to have exactly like this, an email in lowercase and phone underscore number in lowercase. So in Pabbly Connect, here I put email and I add another one and it's called phone underscore number. Okay, and the value here, I map what I received in the workflow. So of course, don't look at this because this is a test workflow. So I don't have the, I didn't do a test. If you want, I could show you, but you understand. I think here the value you map what you received in the trigger. It will be email, an email address. So you map this, and here in the phone number you can put a value. So a phone number is a bad example, of course. Here, what I will put instead, it will be a custom field in SystemeIO that I would call the ebook URL. And here I would put the file URL hosted on my drive, Google Drive, so that the contact will have in the custom field will have this URL. Because I submit the form and I put the file URL. And then one thing I have to add. Of course, here I have the trigger and an action. Of course, in between, we will do the ebook creation, and then we will get the file URL. So, things that the API by Pabbly will be at the end of this workflow with several steps, of course. So, for instance, here I will add ebook URL. I will send the value of the URL, and in SystemeIO, for instance, here in the automation rule. So I add an action, send an email, okay? So the email, I can choose it, or I can choose to add a new one. So this, hello, here is your ebook. This is your ebook. And then I can, here I do that, I select, I create a link, and the link here, I will use a substitute. So it will be a ebook URL, because this is a custom field that I will have created for contacts. So you understand? So if you don't understand all this, it's because you need to look more into SystemeIO, how it works. But if you know how it works, then you can realize that Pabbly can do everything that Zapier can do. It's not because you don't have the integration that you cannot do everything, because you can play with the features of SystemeIO and the two features of Pabbly, which are webhooks as trigger and API by Pabbly as action, in order to fill in a form in SystemeIO, and from this form, then you have all the automations that you can do within SystemeIO. You understand? So I think that's the end of this video. I don't want to overwhelm you with this, but this email will be sent to the contact, and here the link will be the link to the ebook URL hosted on my Google Drive. So I hope you understand, and we don't need, of course, one day when SystemeIO will have an API, we can use directly the API, or we can do a custom action for SystemeIO at this moment. But in the meantime, we can do everything with this way by using inline form in SystemeIO, and in Pabbly by using the API by Pabbly, post the form with everything we want. So I hope this helps. Bye bye.